Coach, it's all yours.
Okay, guys. Like Coach was saying, I'm Cedric Whitaker with the Carolina Panthers. Previously, I was out at HBU, Houston Baptist University, for a past year where I coached the corners, nickels, and was the pass defensive coordinator. Prior to going there, I was out at Baylor University where I was a graduate assistant under Coach Ruling staff, and then prior to being at Baylor, I actually was out at Texas Lutheran, my alma mater, Division III school. So to discuss what we're going to discuss today is how to defend stacks and bunches. Now, myself personally, just to kind of get into the bunches deal, I define my bunches a little different. So to me, a bunch is a bunch. What we all kind of know is, but it's attached to the core. And then the opposite end of it, if we got three out wide, I'll call that a bundle. So kind of to start with the bunches, I kind of break it down in a few ways that we do it, but mainly want to focus on bunches versus a man concept, then versus a zone concept. All right. So kind of to start with our man concept. A bunch, like I said, is attached to the core. So let's say if we get in this situation right here, and we're playing a form of cover one, an 8-man front, 8-man fit, and we got Y, Z, and we're close to the core. One of the biggest things that I like to play with the man concept is levels of D. And to me, this is so easy because you get to sort it out. Very simple. And the way I make my guys think of it, we actually used to call it Miami 305, Dade County, Miami. And I used to beat it to the head, play 305, play Miami when we're playing man. When we get a bunch, we're going to play Miami 305. And it's easy to remember because the inside guy who's responsible for number 3, he's going to be playing at 3 yards, outside leverage, tip to tip. My next guy, which is more so the nickel, he's going to be playing outside, but now he's going to be at 0, holding this guy up at the line. And then my next guy right here, who's responsible for number 1, he'll be outside tip, playing at 5 yards right here. And like I said, we have a man mentality right here. We're in the man scheme. I'm going to tell these guys the same thing that I tell my cornerbacks when we're playing bump and run. We're going to slide our line, step and replace. And the biggest thing that I'm going to say is have a cliff mentality. And when I say cliff mentality, just like I was telling those guys in my first deal is, just imagine if you had your life depending on you right here. And the only thing that you can do is stay on this line right here. If we step back, we die. That's what we want to do. And I call this levels of D right here, because we're all going to be on our same level. The key point for this is to tell this guy, this nickel or whoever it is just playing your 0 guy, you got to keep this guy flat. You got to keep this guy flat. This guy right here, he's only responsible for his man right here. And this guy right here, he's only at 3 yards, only responsible for Z right here. So as we get it sorted out, any kind of way, if this guy works going out this way, my only job is to stay on my cliff. I better not back up. My job as the point guy is to stay on my level. I cannot back up. And my job right here as a guy at 5 yards is to stay on my level, and I can't back up. And that's the best way myself personally, I think, just to sort things out, because now you won't have to worry about picks or anything like that if you can keep these guys flat and keep them on their level. So the biggest thing I'm going to say is have a cliff mentality, slide and jam, staying on your level right here. Because eventually things are going to sort out to where, boom, we're going to meet this guy, we're going to intersect, we want to maintain our level right there. So in the man principle versus bunches, I like to call levels of D right here. Any questions regarding it? Okay. So let's just say versus bunches, and now we're in the zone concept right here. We're in the zone concept now. All right. You got Y, X right here. All right, now we're going to call what we call box. We're going to play in the box, and in the box is literally any three to the side. It can work out like this. If we have X off to this side and we bring the H right here. With these guys in close proximity, we'll make a box call of this, all right? But just to see it visually, I'm going to bring this guy back here. And in the box call, what we're going to do is we're going to place the nickel or the point guy. He's going to be slightly outside of Y. Instead of being on the point of him, he's going to be slightly outside of him, all right? We're going to have a cornerback right here who's responsible for his deep third, or in the zone, he could be responsible for his quarter zone. And we're going to have a safety who's responsible for the inside vertical or his quarter zone or the post possibly, all right? And then this nickel, for the nickel right here, or this point guy, his job is to push to the flat. We got first thing out of the flat. We're pushing to the flat right now. Our inside backer right here, he's taking anything inside first. So anything that he encounters inside, he's taking this. And these guys right here are playing in a combo. He's the outside vertical. He's the inside vertical right here. So anything that we're encountering right here, we're basically going to, if we get, let's say, if we get a vertical right here coming out to us, this cornerback is responsible for his quarter. And then if we get anything coming towards the post, this safety is responsible for his quarter or his inside vertical. All right, so one of the biggest things that we want to talk about is what are our guys keying right here? All right, so let's say we had, like I said, a box, we're in the zone. Our nickel want to do a good job of keying number 3 right here. He wants to key number 3. 1 second, guys. Okay, he wants to do a good job of keying number 3. And one of the biggest things that I tell these guys, depending on how you set the front, some guys will boss that Mike linebacker over, or they'll just keep him over in this A gap. But we're reading number 3. If we get run away from us right here, number 3 steps away, we want to do a good job of butting and ripping this side right here on this guy. Because who's going to have this gap right here? Us. And then we'll have to make them right here with the cornerback if you want to crack a place, or biggest thing we want to do is make them right with the safety right here. So if he releases inside, he has to come down and have this E gap right here. So we'll make sure that we key number 3. If we get run to us with the nickel right here, this guy, number 3, is blocking out to us. We want to make sure as the nickel, we get vertical penetration. We are the forcer right here, all right? We are the forcer right there. And this safety, he's going to be responsible for this gap right here, all right? So run 2, we're going to be the forcer. Run away with 3 away. We want to make sure that we rip inside and get inside of that D gap right there. But that's all schematic. That'll be all schematic on how you set your front up. If you want to boss those linebackers over and allow that Mike linebacker to really run.
Hey, Coach, couple quick questions here for you. What was the safety's depth on that?
We want to be at about 10 to 12 yards, depending on speed right there. So if we get 3 as a receiver, say if we're about right here, and this guy number 3 is a receiver, I want to be a little deeper. I want to be a little deeper, about 12 yards, 10 to 12 yards. If we get here and you got a true trunk tight end, 12 personnel look, now that's heavy run. I want to get this guy to 8 to 10 yards. Because like I said, this nickel right here, he's keying this guy. So if we get this down block right here, he know he's ripping here. He got to come right now. We don't want to do that from 10 to 12 yards deep. All right. Same thing. If we get this guy coming this way, now we got to fit inside of that, inside of the Y, outside of the U, and we have our nickel fitting right here, getting vertical penetration and forcing. So just depending on, based on who's your number 3 right there. If it's a bigger body, I would scoot that guy up for run purposes. If it's a smaller guy, receiver, I'll have that guy back.
Excellent. And there are no switches on rubs?
No switches on rubs. Talk to me about that.
That was the whole question.
You said there's no switches on rubs.
Yeah. I think he's asking if there are switches on rubs.
No, so basically what I'm saying is if we get the switch route, let's say 2 and 3 and 1, it goes vertical and we switch. My cornerback is responsible for the outside vertical. My safety is responsible for the inside vertical. So anything that comes into that sphere, they're responsible for that. No matter if you're in quarters, if you're in thirds, you're responsible for your sphere. So just to answer your question, if we get a switch or anything like that, we're going to stay on it. Now, if we get a pick route, our nickel, he's responsible for first thing into the flat. And our Mike, he's responsible for, or inside back is responsible for anything inside first.
Excellent. In the box, are you concerned about being outflanked by the number 1 on an arrow to the flat?
On the arrow to the flat. So now that's a great question. What we like to talk about in zone ball is if one stays 1, our cornerback basically can own. So if we get number 1 going out to the flat right now, he can take that right now.
Okay. Talking about that cliff mentality, are you trying to reroute wide receivers or allow the wide receiver to go in or out?
No, that's my man. So when I say, when we talk about cliff mentality, that's in the man principle. So say if we're in man free, and we're all responsible for a man right here. This nickel, that's his guy. He's not worried about anything else but keeping a cliff mentality, keeping this guy flat, and making sure he doesn't rub anyone. Right here, our safety who's rolling down. His only job is this guy right here. So he'll be at 3 yards, he'll be at 0, he'll be at 5, and his only job is to key this guy, and that's my man. If he goes all the way back this way, this is my guy, and I'm standing on this horizontal plane. If he goes this way, I'm standing on this horizontal plane. That's my guy. If this guy comes underneath this way, I'm standing at 5 yards on a horizontal plane. I'm not caring what happens. We're just going to stay on a horizontal plane playing our man. Cliff mentality, don't bag up, slide and jam.
And Coach, could you talk about the hand and footwork with the collision?
Now this is what I think is very vital. We want to have shockers, but some guys, they use their hands and their feet die. We want to do a good job of working our feet and our hands because, like I said, our hands are only supplement. If we can get that guy to reroute himself with our feet laterally, we're kind of helping ourselves out. But the biggest thing we want to do when we do make collision is work our feet with ourselves. And you'll see a lot of the times if you get one of those DBs on one of those bigger tight ends, they're trying to joust themselves into them and they forget to use their feet and end up being knocked off of it. So we want to do a good job of maintaining our leverage if we're going to collide into them, working our feet laterally and not letting those feet die.
Coach, how do you handle the switch routes out of bunch versus man coverage?
Switch routes out of bunch versus man coverage. I'll draw it out for you. So we here. Nickel, we're playing the level of a D. And let's say we get a switch of 1 and 3. So we're here. Same thing applies. We're at 3, 0, 5. I'm keying this guy right here. He releases this way. I'm doing a great job of keeping them flat, and hopefully I'm disrupting this. Well, we're going to disrupt this guy, so it's going to slow him down to where now this outside release, we're just going to stay on our horizontal plane. With this inside release of this guy, we're going to keep him flat. We're going to stay on our horizontal plane. And everybody's cliff mentality, slide and jam. Your man is your man.
Coach, in box, how do you handle the number 1 arrow route, the number 2 corner route, and number 3 on a post route? So number 1 on an arrow, number 2 corner route, and number 3 on a post route.
Number 2 on the corner?
Yes, sir.
So if we get this right here in box, like I said, our nickel, he's going to be sitting outside right here, and his responsibility is to push to the flat. These guys right here, my cornerback, his responsibility is outside vertical. My safety right here, his responsibility is inside vertical. And that's how it all play out right there. So we get the corner by number 2, The cornerback's going to take him because he's responsible for the outside vertical. Our safety is going to be responsible for the inside vertical, so he'll help out on the post. And then our nickel, he'll be playing top down. And like I said, he's working here, working outside to where we're going to have to match that. And then our Mike right here, he should be pushing, looking for anything that's coming back inside shallow. So doing a good job of kind of like playing as a Bronco player. He's going to do a good job of banging on this guy on number 3 while also looking for anything that's coming back inside. So this nickel, he's going to match the arrow route or any juke route. As soon as they declare to him coming out to the flat, he's taking first to the flat and they come back in, basically going to create a match right there while they got him.
All right, Coach. On the cliff, when the wide receiver goes vertical, do we now run with?
When the receiver goes vertical, we want to collide, jam, and then run with. It just turns into a bump and run from there. So if we're right here, Y, X, he's vertical right here. He's inside, he's vertical. We want to do a good job. Keep him flat. 3, I'm sorry. 5, we want to do a good job of banging them and running with them. Right here at 3, we want to do a good job banging, running with them. Is that what you're asking?
We'll have to wait for Coach to come back in and let us know on that one. In the meantime, how do you handle 3-tier routes from trips?
When we say tier routes, what are we talking about?
Sorry, that's all I got there, Coach. Coach Broski, let me know if you can expand on that question. So to clarify on this, where are the nickel's eyes on box?
On box, he's looking at 3. He's looking at number 3. Like I said, if 3 goes into the core, we want to rip into the D gap. If 3 is at us, we're at the flat or against run. We're forcing right now. Vertical penetration.
Excellent. What's the depth in box and leverage on number 1?
On number 1, I teach those guys 2x6 right here with the cornerback. So Y, X, 2x6 on there.
All right, Coach. Next question here. What is a good technique to recover if the defensive back gets beat vertical stacked on?
Shit, you better run like a bat out of hell. You better run. There ain't no time to be thinking. Just run, man. Go catch up.
All right, Coach. And then last question here. In box coverage, is backside in man or cover 2?
What's that?
In box coverage, is the backside in man or cover 2?
In box coverage, we're in that's a zone technique.
All right. Okay. So Coach Broski, let me see if I can get this question right to Coach here. So Coach Broski asks, how do you handle 3-tier routes from the trips? Number 1 vertical, number 2 flat at 5 yards, and number 3 10 yards out on 3-tier routes.
Number 1 vertical.
Yes, sir. Number 2 flat at 5 yards, and number 3 10 yards out.
In a regular trade formation against what situation?
Coach Broski, what situation are you asking about here?
Are we talking about a box or just a regular formation?
From trips is all he said here. Sorry, Coach. Let's move on. Keep going on, Coach Broski. If you can type your whole question, and I'll get that to Coach here in a minute. Coach Broski says regular formation.
Okay, regular formation, and we're talking about in thirds, or we're talking about. Now, this is my biggest thing. Let's say we're in the thirds concept right here and we're into the field. This guy right here, my cornerback, a lot of the times, he's going to be reading this guy right here. So, like I said, if we're in thirds, he's seeing 3, 2, and feeling 1. If we get this guy right here pushing vertical, he's already starting to work to the divider, working this way, being aware of anything that's coming to him. We can get the indie corner, but as soon as that guy breaks away, his eyes are snapping to his next vertical threat. He's out right here, which we should do a good job of. If we're playing it like we're supposed to with our nickel, he's going to be playing that deal top down and being able to drive on there. So he eliminates here. He's going, my eyes are snapping to number one. That's the concept we were talking about, post by one or vertical. His eyes are snapping to one, and we're playing it. Now, if number three was to stem towards our divider now, we're already in our divider, assuming that number one is vertical.
All right, Coach, that's all we have for now if you want to keep rolling.
Okay. So let's talk about, we talked about defending the bunches, playing levels of D, playing the box call. Let's talk about playing the bundles. And when I say a bundle would just be a wide stack. Let's say 3 speed in the bundle over here, all right? All right, in this look, I like to use what we call a clip call. So with the clip call, what we're gonna do with the nickel, we're gonna hold him on the point right here. This is a point guy. And with our strong safety or cornerback, we're gonna be playing the combo call with these two guys. Combo call. So basically, the same thing with the cornerback right here. He's gonna be keying number 3. Our number 3 right here. So if we get out by number 3, he can go trigger. If we get number 3 going away right now, he's snapping his eyes to number 1. If we get 3 vertical right now, then we get back into the situation where we're playing outside vertical with the cornerback, inside vertical with the safety. So just to make it more simpler, our nickel, he's taking away the point guy. He has him all over the field right here. He has him everywhere. And now we're going to key our number 3 right here. 3 goes out, our cornerback is triggering, and the safety is working over to number 1 right here. If number 3 is vertical, our cornerback is going to snap his eyes to number 1 right here. He's responsible for the inside vertical. He's responsible for the outside vertical. If we get 2 of them or a possible switch, he's going to be the outside vertical. He's going to be the inside vertical. If we get 3 working away right now, then our cornerback is going to snap his eyes to 1, and that's his man for the down right there. And as well, we should also know that we're going to have inside presence over here with the Mike linebacker. All right, so if we get this right here real quick, he's going to be matching that right now, taking the inside throw away. And that's like I said, that's our clip call versus a wide bundle. Now, same deal here. In the man situation, if we get a wide bundle, we can play levels of D to this as well. So we're going to have our nickel, inside leverage, depending on the split. Now, if we have wide splits, we're going to line that nickel inside leverage, knowing that that wrap player is all the way here and post player is all the way here. But let's just say we had normal splits right now. We're going to line that nickel up at 0. Like I said, remember 305. 305. You can remember anything. 305. So he's going to be at 0 right here. He's going to be at 3 yards right here. And that can be the safety or anyone that's responsible for this guy right here. He's Cam, click mentality. And we're going to be at 5 yards right here with our cornerback, playing outside leverage, depending on the splits, like I said. And this is our man concept versus a bundle. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep these guys flat, cliff mentality, slide and jam. Okay.
Is the safety also keyed 3 in the wide bundle?
In the wide bundle? Yeah, he is. It's the same. Now, are we talking about versus the clip?
Coach Mike, type that in. Let me know what you're asking about there.
If I'm not mistaken, that's what you're asking. He's also keying 3 right there.
In the zone concept.
Zone concept, yeah, versus clip. So he'll be here. So he's also key in three right here. Because like I said, if three goes out, he's taking all of one, getting to the top of one. If three is vertical, he's assuming that's my man as long as he's the inside vertical. Or if he's straight up vertical, he's assuming that that is my vertical. Now, if we get switch out of it, here, boom, then we know I'm still the inside vertical player. So just to answer your question, yes, his eyes are on three as well. One of the biggest things that we got to make sure that we're seeing with three is the climb out, which these guys here coming this way. So we got to do a good job of not just seeing this as a radical release right now. So we got to do a good job of staying on top of three and playing throughout the whole run.
Coach, what depth are the strong safety and cornerback in combo?
In combo, like I said, we want everything to look the same. So the kind of in the box call, we're talking about wide bunch, right? Wide bunches and clip. Yeah, he's going to show we want those guys right now. We want to be at 10 to 12 yards deep because now we're thinking about vertical entry right now. So we want to be at 10 to 12 yards deep. Now, if we were to get in a box call, something tighter to the formation, now we can bring that cornerback up to 2 to 6, 2 by 6 right there to where he can help out with the crack replace as well as the safety, depending, like I said, on a number 3. If the number 3 is a little faster, a faster receiver, he can be deeper for his quarter or his third or whatever it is. And then if it's a bigger body at number 3, then we're thinking heavy run support. So now we want to be up 8 to 10 yards.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that was versus the wide bundle.
Um,
All right. Coach Lehman asked, back to the bunches in the box. The corner alignment is 6 by 2. What is the nickel and safety alignment?
A bundle in the box right here, right? I'm sorry, a bunch.
Bunches in the box. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the nickel, he's going to be splitting 1 and 2 right here at about 1.5 yards off. And his job is to push to the flat. Our corner right here, he's going to be 2 by 6 outside of everything. And then our safety, like I talked about, depending on if this is a fast receiver. If it's a fast receiver, we want to be deeper right here. And we're going to be inside of 3, all right? We're going to be inside of 3. And what we're saying is, if this is a fast receiver, then we need to be little bit more deeper in our quarter right here. If it's a bigger guy, we need to be up tighter right here. Then as we read this guy, if he down blocks, we're ripping it here, replacing all of this guy. If we get the out block, he's forcing right here and fitting off on the side of that guy in the deep guy.
Coach Kramer asked, how will the alignments change as you get into goal line? Will you play box on the goal line?
I like to play levels. Like I say, depending on scheme. If we get down there and it's a cover 0, cover 1 man, we're going to play levels of D right now. Now, if it's a zone principle, we get down and play a little red 8, we're going to give a box call and everything's just going to tighten up just a little bit.
All right, Coach, and last question here. If bunches or bundle to the boundary, would you play any different? He's talking about the alignment of the defensive back, the nickel, et cetera.
I would not at all, because the key thing is we're going to teach that guy, if you're the point guy and we're in the box call, the point guy that's playing outside of number 2, you're responsible for first to the flat. The inside guy's responsible for first inside. And then the back guys, they're going to be playing just like a regular box call. Because now you have the same thing. You just got a cornerback into the boundary and the safety playing his inside vertical, cornerback playing his outside vertical.
Excellent, Coach. That's all the questions for now. Keep rolling.
All right, sounds good. So now let's talk about defending the stack. Okay. So when we talk about defending the stack, we're going to talk about in man first. Now, to me, this was a week-to-week basis deal. I had 2 ways that I'll play it. I either play it what I call, instead of levels of D, I'll just call it levels. All right. So at levels, let's just say we have a 2 by 2 right here. We're playing levels. I'm going to tell that that nickel that you're going to get on the point man, and same deal. You're going to keep them flat, keep them at the line, have a cliff mentality, don't bag up. And what I'm going to tell this cornerback over here, if we're playing in a man-free situation where we got a rat or anything and it's a tighter bunch, I'm going to line this guy outside, and he's going to be 4 yards off of the line of scrimmage. And his same job is, when we're playing levels, cliff mentality, slide and jam. The biggest thing you want to tell this point guy is keep him flat, don't back up, keep him flat. By doing that, this allows this corner, no matter what the release is, here or here, slide and jam, keep his leverage, and keep a cliff mentality, and it'll sort itself out. Now, with that one, we call more so of a levels right here. Now, you'll go against teams, and they'll see your man out there, and what they'll do is they'll run that smoke screen to number 1. The number 2, the back guy. So they'll have this, and what you see this guy is knowing that we always play him hard. They'll keep that like that, and they'll throw out a smoke screen. Now we got enough room to make a move on one guy and make a miss. So what I would do is, just based off of my analysis of that team this week, I'll play back man. So all back man is saying, and the man concept is, what I want to do with this nickel is butt jerk, rip outside, and you're responsible for this guy. And this cornerback or safety, whoever it is, we're responsible for the front man right here. All right, so it'll be the same principle, but now only thing is that nickel, he's really ramming it up in there, jerking off, and he's responsible for the back guy. So, like I say, it was 2 ways that I played in the man principle. I would either play it, I'll either play levels or I'll play back man to it, depending on the week-to-week basis and what type of schemes that we're getting from concepts that we're getting from that other team. So as far as a zone, whether we play zone to stack in a bunch, it's similar to when I talked about playing the masters earlier. When we're talking about playing in a combo, if those guys are tight, it'd be the same situation right here. So let's just say we had Y stacks right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line these guys 1 yard inside this way, and we'll be 1 yard inside and 5 yards. And let's just say this is our nickel right here. And our cornerback right here, same deal. You're going to line these guys 6 to 5 yards back off the guy. Cornerback be right here. And just like we talked about in the zone up, these guys, we're going to have to see both of them. We got to see both of them. So what we want to do is on the snap of the ball, we're going to walk out, take slow walkout steps, and sort between the two. Now, in this picture right here, the biggest thing that you kind of give away when playing a combo, and I don't really too much care for, but you got to kind of deal with it, is 2 ends, because now this guy is beat by leverage, or 2 outs, because now he can play this, but he's beat by leverage. No? Any questions regarding it?
No questions so far, Coach.
All right. So now let's say I'm gonna kind of go back on what I was saying as far as the bunches and bundles right here. If we get 2 into the core and it's a tight core, right here, let's say we got Y and Z with the back away. We'll play this just like in the zone principle. We'll play this just like it was a combo call, because the back's away. We'll just play basically 2-on-2 right here. We'll have the nickel, cornerback, same difference. We're going to walk out, seeing both of these guys, looking at both of these guys. But now what changes is if we get this, the back to our side. Now we're going to treat this like if we're in a zone situation, we're going to treat this like it was a box call. All right, so what we'll do from here is we'll say, nickel, here, boom, you get right here, you're going to split 1 and 2. You got first to the flat right here. Our cornerback, now you're responsible for the outside vertical, and then our safety right here, he's going to be responsible for the inside vertical. So if we get anything as such as this, now we got a guy playing top down. We got this guy playing outside vertical. We got this guy playing inside vertical. So just as sure as if it's a stack, a tight stack, it can turn easily into a box call, or if we're in a mass situation, it can be a levels of D call. And when I say levels of D, just like I mentioned before, if we get this here, tight to the core, it'd be the same difference. Now we're gonna put our nickel on number 2, keeping them flat right here. We're gonna have our cornerback right here out on number 1, staying flat right here. And then in this situation now, we'll have a backer who's responsible for this guy, this halfback right here. And this same deal is you got to keep them flat. That's the whole point of us being on different levels. We'll be at 305 right here. So he keep this guy flat. He keep this guy flat, slide and jam. He keep this guy flat, slide and jam. He keep his guy flat, slide and jam. And it all sort itself out. And our eyes can be on our man.
Hey, Coach, do you play box to bunches and bundles?
You can't know. Essentially, you can play it to bundles, but our way of playing it was a clip call to a bundle.
Excellent. Thank you. That's the only question for now.
The difference would be in the clip call. In the clip call, now that nickel or the point guy, he's taking number 2 everywhere he goes. He's keeping him flat. In the box call, now his responsibility expanded to the flat right now. He has first to the flat. Questions?
No, sir, Coach. That's all we have right now.
All right. Sound good. So let's drop a formation real fast. We'll do it like this. Let's say if we had Y, Z, and X, and we created a 4-way right here. Now, I think this may be a little different. But now we have a true 4-way, and we're in a man situation. What would we call this? We'll call the levels D. We'll have our nickel up here on the point. We'll have our corner back here, responsible for this. We have our safety roll down, responsible for number 3. This is the biggest deal right here that we have to deal with is these guys on the same level now, this LB. These guys on the same level. So what I'll tell this safety to do is just take a step back, but we also got to communicate with this corner. Hey, take a step back right here. And the same deal is going to occur. He's responsible for this. He's responsible for this. This backer is responsible for this H right here, but we all got to stay on the same level, okay? All got to stay on the same level. And that's one of the biggest issues that we get into, but we just have to communicate that now we have basically a 4th level on our level of D right there. And it's a slight adjustment. You can just tell the guy, step back, keep him flat right there, okay?
Coach, we got a question here from Coach Duran. He said, in box versus any formation, would you ever have the nickel and corner switch responsibilities?
Just for simplicity of teaching, I wouldn't. Just for the simplicity of teaching, and also because of the run fit. Like I said in that box call, that nickel, he's reading that number 3, and he's more prone to being a run fit. He's the body that you want to be, the nickel, the Sam, anything, the sub package. He's that guy that you want to be in there reading that 3. If he down blocks, he's ripping into that gap. And simplicity of teaching, you don't want to kind of cross over too much, teaching the cornerback run fits and different keys like that. And also in the combo call, he's reading a clip call and a box call. They're kind of reading the same deal. It almost work out the same way. So if a guy's working your outside vertical, if he's used to being an outside vertical player, then let him be an outside vertical player. If you got a nickel or a Bronco that could be a forcer, you let him be a forcer, and no matter what you're doing. So just the simplicity of everything, I'd make sure that I keep that nickel on that point and not the corner.
All right, Coach. So, Coach, we got about 9 minutes left here. I don't have any other questions right this second. Is there anything else you want to go over here, or do you just want to take more questions?
I'll take some questions.
All right, coaches, type in your questions here. All right, Coach Parpet said, back to the flood concept, 1 vertical, 2 outside arc 12 yards, the 3 flat 5 yards flood route.
We're saying that 2's where?
Outside arc 12 yards.
right here. Versus which coverage?
Coach Parpet, which coverage? What's the rest of your question here?
So versus a cover 3 look, like I said before, our cornerback.
Cover 3, Coach.
Cover 3?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, our cornerback is reading, like I say, seeing 3, 2, and feeling 1 right here. So as number 3 eliminates right now, his eyes are snapping to number 2. Right here, his eyes are snapping to number 2. But also with his vertical by number 2, he's also getting to his divider. So what's going to happen once this number 2 breaks out at 10 to 12 yards, we should have this nickel pushing out with visual of number 1. He could be able to play underneath this deal, like almost like a sail route. It's sail concept. We had a 7 right here. He's pushing underneath this deal, playing high-low, breaking on the tackle here. And our cornerback, once he see this guy's going out, he can man turn, speed turn back to number 1 right here. But in this head, like I said, the corner is going to assume that number 1 is vertical. If 3 or 2 is vertical, he's getting to his divider, assuming that number 1 is vertical. And if they eliminate, he can speed turn, man turn, and get back over there and play it.
Excellent, Coach. Coach Winston asks, can you draw up a full diagram with all back end players for match 3 versus 2x2 and 3x1?
Okay. And all the back end guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to draw some hashes up right here.
For the match 3 versus a 2x2 and a 3x1.
Okay. Say the numbers right here. Like I said, those back end guys, they're responsible for 19 yards apiece right here. All right. So versus a 2x2. Say we have a 2x2 right here. This post safety, I like to call him middle of the field. He's responsible from hash to hash, and I tell him also 2 yards outside the hash to protect the seam right there. So he's responsible for this portion of the field. All right. Our cornerback, our field corner, we're over here. Our divider, like I said, is right here splitting the numbers in the hash. Same deal. He's responsible for 19 yards of the field with crossover right there. So this is his portion of the field. Same thing over here. If you're in the boundary, now your divider is going to be top of the numbers right here. But essentially, you're responsible for 19 yards of the field. So these are your deep third guys right here. Now against a 3x1. Same deal. We're all responsible for these portions of our field right here, all right? So with the vertical threat of 3, my mind as a cornerback is 3 or 2. I got to get to my divider to where I can play the vertical of what I'm assuming to be 1's vertical right here. You get what I'm saying?
All right, Coach. Coach Camesso said, at what yardage should the corner consider number 2 vertical?
If he's over the linebacker. So if he's over the linebacker, I wouldn't see. The biggest thing is we get caught up with the depth of those guys. But my biggest thing, I don't want to make it a yardage deal. So I say if he's over the linebacker, as long as he's vertical, my eyes are on him. So I should be able to see it within the quick step game that I talked about. Smoke, crack, quick, whether we scooching or walking out, I should be able to view all of that. So as I'm here, smoke, crack, quick, and that guy's not out or in right now within my third step. Now I'm thinking, okay, divider, if it's a vertical by 3 or 2, and I'm assuming that number 1 is vertical. So it could be some guys play it with a certain yardage. Myself personally, I like to say if he's over the linebacker or if he's still vertical after our third walkout step, this guy's vertical. We need to treat him as a vertical. And some guys play the kind of the cocked open, but to the sideline type corner, and they use the shuffle and get out there. If he's not vertical within those first two shuffles, if he's vertical still within those first two shuffles, then they kind of play it in the divider. But myself personally, I say after we take our third walkout step, if that man's still vertical, treat him as a vertical and get you your divider. We can flip back over to number one later.
All right, Coach, we got time for a couple more questions here, coaches. All right, Coach, verse wide bundle, if the slot runs bubble and X and Z block, does the cornerback become the force player? If the cornerback and safety are playing 10 to 12 yards in combo call, will you adjust their depth if they keep picking up 4 to 5 yards on the bubble? Or what's your changeup?
So if who bubbles? Number 3 bubbles. Let's just say number 3 bubble.
If the slot runs bubble and X and Z block, does the cornerback become the force player? Yep.
Yeah, so now my corner's triggering right now because you remember what I told you in this clip call, this nickel, he's responsible for taking this away. As soon as we see this out by this guy, we're coming right now, keeping our outside shoulder free. Now, do we want to tighten up? I mean, if they continuously hit you with it, you probably want to do something, but I wouldn't panic on it so much because we're creating right here. If you create a whole waylay of bodies right here by disrupting everything with that nickel, you more than likely won't keep on continuously getting the same thing. So I believe in just sticking to your guns right there, man.
All right, Coach, from Coach Hillman versus Stack. You are in zone and they throw smoke. Can you please draw your fit?
They throw smoke by number 1, all right? And we're in zone. Like I said, we're going to be out here 1 yard, 4 yards inside right here on this guy with our nickel, Bronco, whoever it is. So they throw smoke. This guy's going to be back right here. He's going to be forcing inside right here. We're trying to force this ball to come back inside, and he's going to be cracking, replacing off of his guy. It's zone ball. We're trying to force this thing to come back inside. So if we get the block by number 1, just like we told that nickel, if we get a crack block, we want to butt jerk, rip outside of it. In zone ball, if we get a crack block or anything that's coming to us as the nickel, we want to butt jerk, rip outside of it, forcing everything to go back inside.
All right, Coach, last question here. Could you draw up how you would match up to Trey? And do you have a preference, man or zone versus that formation?
And when we say Trey, tight end.
A 3-by-1 with a tight end attached.
And that's the question again?
How would you match up? Do you have a preference, man or zone versus that formation?
I mean, preferably it's based on the scheme. Now, if I was to say man, then I want how I play it, I would want my nickel outside playing on number 2 if it was a man situation. Now, it's basically based on your scheme, I guess. Not really sure what you're asking. How would I want to match it up? Now, I would want, if I could have a perfect world and it was a man situation, I would go corner, nickel, safety, corner.
All right, Coach. Sounds good. Coaches, really appreciate you coming today. Coach Whitaker, awesome presentations.